welcome to your Balbir Singh Dance Company workshop. This workshop is going to focus on the creative process behind the live performances you view at Billingham Festival and beyond. Balbir Singh Dance Company is the company in residence at the festival, and groups that visit the festival are invited to collaborate with Balbir on larger scale productions. As an audience member, it's easy to appreciate the live performance that is in front of you, but we don't often sit back and think about what happened behind the scenes to make this performance a reality. Balbir Singh Dance Company is synonymous with work that weaves together widely divergent cultural strands. It brings together unexpected collaborators such as poets, biologists, storytellers, rugby players, BMXers, musicians and chefs. Billingham Festival is a powerhouse for collaboration and unity. It brings dancers and artists from all around the world together to create something magical and to share with the wonderful audiences in Billingham and beyond. Art gives us the opportunity to look at life in different ways, to put the ordinary in an extraordinary light. Balbir is inspired by drawing inspiration from different people's cultural experience, lifestyle and background. And Billingham Festival is the perfect opportunity to meet wonderful artists from all around the world and create something new and exciting for the audiences. Balbir Singh Dance Company and Billingham Festival are supported by the Arts Council, and they encourage all of their organisations to take on board the creative case. This means that their employment practices and their creative output is always diverse. Balbir is known for collaborating with a variety of different artists, and his company is known for using Kathak dance and contemporary dance to create a new artistic conversation. This is Balbir's creative storm. Combining Kathak and contemporary brings a new depth to Balbir's understanding of the body, his use of imagination and storytelling, his integration of rhythm and musicality, and his approach to working with musicians. Balbir and his company are the company in residency at Billingham Festival, so they work and collaborate with the artists who visit the festival each year. They work on larger scale productions and create amazing performances to share with the audiences who travel to visit the festival. Balbir works in partnership with the creative team from each folk group to ensure that each group is able to show their artistic flair on stage whilst also creating something new and inspiring for the audience. In 2019 alone, because of Billingham Festival, Balbir Singh Dance Company were able to collaborate with dancers from South Korea, China, Colombia and Georgia. Billingham Festival has been an amazing opportunity to inspire Balbir creatively, his dancers artistically, and all of the dancers who've been able to collaborate with him, because we've all learned new skills and influenced and inspired one another. I'll now pass over to Balbir so he can share with you his experience collaborating with Billingham Festival.
Hello, my name is Balbir Singh, Artistic Director of Balbir Singh Dance Company, and I want to talk a little bit about working with Billingham International Folklore Festival of World Dance. We've been working with the festival for over 5 years now, and it's been an extremely rewarding and enriching experience on so many levels. It has opened up a whole new audience for Balbir Singh Dance Company. Through Olga Maloney's producer skills, we have performed in Sharjah, the cultural capital of the United Arab Emirates, with Absolutely Legless, an Irish dance troupe. A whole new world of performing in ice rinks has been made possible through Olga's ice skating background, creating 2 skating productions and growing artistically through working with ice skaters and the ice rink as the performance space. Through Olga, I have also met skater Gary Beacom, which led to creating the Boy with the Rollerblades theatre production. Billingham and the festival offer so much opportunity to create ideas, explore, experiment and collaborate. This year we are collaborating with the festival on a new production, The Two Friedas, which promises to challenge me in new subject matter to explore. It is wonderful to see how company dances have grown through working with other folk dance countries. It is unique as a festival in that countries do not just come to perform their repertoire, but the festival creates work with them through Balbir Singh Dance Company as company in residence. Year on year, we continue to find new ways of connecting with audiences, artists and ideas. We have not found anywhere else across the globe that has provided so much opportunity and a rich and rewarding experience.
Away from Billingham Festival, Balbir and his company create new works which tour nationally and internationally. We're now going to take a closer look at behind the scenes of the creation of one of those productions. Decreasing Infinity collaborated with Kathak dancer, a contemporary dancer, a beatboxer and musicians. Starting in their purest forms, seen through abstract mirrors. The mutual attraction of two distinct dance forms, Kathak and contemporary, brings them to a collision in which both cease to exist. Rather, something new is formed. Clear and sharp, with mesmerising physical articulation, the work draws the audience deeper into Balbir's exploration of the mutual attraction of opposites. Decreasing Infinity performed to sell-out audiences at Dublin Dance Festival and Edinburgh Fringe, and also performed at international festivals. We're now going to go behind the scenes to see exactly what it is like to collaborate and work with Balbir and his company. This documentary was filmed by Andy Wood in 2013.
Morning, Andy. Balbir here. Hope all is good. Thanks for your message the other day. Great in terms of the scheduling you've given, but we can talk to that a little bit more as well. So I'm with them in the morning, but in the studio all day, so I don't necessarily have to be there if you are able to come in and see what they're doing and have a chat with them as well. All right, hope all's good. Speak soon. Take care. Thanks.
I suppose it achieves a number of things. One, it's making the work more accessible through seeing the process, or trying to capture the process, or trying to see if it is capturable. But at the same time, just the whole concept of you being here makes me think about what the process is and how it's going to work, as opposed to just getting on with it and doing the work. So that is kind of interesting in itself, having to have one part of the creative thought process is thinking about what is it I'm doing in terms of most effectively make use of this creative aspect of the work. It's not just about the work, but in terms of what the dancers are doing, but the film that's presented as part of the whole thing, and then kind of stand in its own right as well as the choreography. I remember years back where in Bradford, where the HFV is now based, there used to be a big shop, and outside there were mirrors looking at each other on the sides of the doors, and I remember standing there one day looking into one mirror and seeing the other mirror and then seeing the first mirror reflected in my teens, and I thought, oh, this is infinity, something that goes on forever and ever. And then for the new work, I looked at the idea of infinity then being two different styles of dance, or those two mirrors, but slightly different to each other, but still reflecting each other and still having their own particular identity, which then led me to thinking, okay, what if these two identities are me, or two styles of dance, the Kathak and the contemporary? And then what happens if those two mirrors don't just exist in those static places, but begin to come towards each other? What happens if they try to communicate? To what extent are they mirroring each other, reflecting each other, battling to say different things in different ways, or resisting responding to each other as well? This time around, working with a Kathak dancer as a new challenge for me choreographically. I've done work previously where we've had Kathak trained dancers in the mix with other dancers, and choreographically it's focused my attention on them for the wrong reasons and taken away from the choreography. So for this project very specifically, it's looking at two specific identities on having two dancers and looking at what happens if you put those dancers in a space together, and what happens when you bring them closer together. They lose that sense of tradition and purity of each style as well. The thinking behind this project was a lot of work just by default had been with female dancers, and the work that defined itself through the last two projects was an sensuous quality in terms of the choreography that emerged, and the material didn't sit as comfortably on male bodies as such. So a challenge and a different approach was for me to think about doing something smaller scale in a smaller team to manage, and also work on a project with boys, which brings a very different starting point creatively in terms of focusing on the more masculine, aggressive aspect of Kathak. Both dancers are coming from very different, interesting places, and it's interesting to see how they're approaching the material in very different ways and beginning to apply it. And you can see they're both going on a journey with being out of their comfort zones, and that's really clear, and they're kind of pushing that, and hopefully they're going with the excitement and the thrill of that. After today, it's kind of me going away and getting more of a sense of how the work and ideas that I had that emerged today are making sense and where they might go, and from there beginning to look at what the pieces might be for the jigsaw, and then what that eventually might or tumble down into.
It's a bit complicated too, it's learning a new technique and creating new dance material at the same time, and somehow it works, but I still can't understand how do I make it work.
To work in this sort of choreographic context where it's all the choreographer is kind of developing his ideas on us as we go along. It's been a while since I've done that. In the past few years I've worked in a more traditional context where you're given material to learn and to present, which has been a lot more straightforward.
I'm just letting myself go and learn as much as I can, and just see what happens when you improvise and make material.
So this is really interesting, where we come from quite different backgrounds, different dance backgrounds, to be working in the same environment.
I'm really enjoying the process. I mean, being able to create material in a position to just learn it.
I don't think he was joking when he said it was chaotic. We're in a space of chaos. Yeah, I feel like I've jumped into the deep end where there's a lot of material.
I can't define what visually is he after. Visually for the piece, how you're gonna look. Because it's all it's meant to be aggressive, but not in a straightforward way, so.
You're at 5.1 here, so it's there in terms of when the two come together, and neither style exists. So this is the dawning of actually not in that style.
It's good when you ask him to summarize. Like I did today. I was like, so, because he was talking non-stop for 3 minutes, and I was like, so what do you actually want me to do? You spoke loads, that's a lot of information. So do you want me to do this, and that? Yes.
The one after this will be so verse 3 is verse 2 3 times.
I'm really looking forward to working with the musicians, because it's a really nice buzz.
Once the music comes together as well, it'll be really nice and chewy.
Dancing with live music is the best, really.
In the new work, the tabla player Kaushik Sen I've worked with many times before, and has a fantastic ability as a tabla player, and very much is following the dancer. If you watch him perform on stage, he's very much there. Eyes are on the dancer constantly throughout the work in terms of really driving and the energy and the passion being brought. As well as a fantastic performance quality he brings to the work. And then a new challenge for me is to work with beatboxer Jason Singh, throwing that into the mix. So not not only this time am I looking at choreographing, creating work with dancers, but looking at how the aspect of music and the positioning of the music, both static in terms of the sat-down tabla player, but also the beatboxer revolving, rotating, moving around in the action will feature in the work. So there's a bigger challenge here, trying to make sense of the whole thing and see what opportunities present themselves, so it becomes a much more integrated piece. The work always is very strong in live music and the relationship with live music, and an organic relationship in terms of the dance informing the music and the music informing the dance, rather than having a score created first or the dance created first. The two feed off of each other and create the work together. So there's a whole challenge this time, not just thinking musically, but in terms of thinking of the actual relationship between the dancers and the musicians and the interaction between them.
First time this is slow, kind of figuring out. Second time he hits you, then it's a little bit bigger. Third time it's kind of moving in the space with what you did. Let's see what that does. There's a dramatic build of something in terms of attacking. And that equivalent response. What's the other part of the mirror saying? How's it interpreting this if they are slightly warped and different? Okay.
I've had an initial meeting with Jason, really interesting things that he came up with in terms of using sound from the body and manipulating that. I came back into the studio with those ideas in mind to explore the material further. So there's certain concepts and images in mind in terms of tabla player central and these two dancers coming together and the beatboxer rotating, revolving around it as components to drive the work and explore. And at the same time, it's looking at how one doesn't get lost in actually thinking the tabla needs to be looking as it's bringing those two things together, and the beatboxer has to be free flowing through the whole thing. It's the work made will challenge me, and I will try and go for what isn't obvious in it, but then to take the audience on a surprising journey to go beyond what they expect or think might happen in terms of these things coming together and then the tabla player drawing them together. What if the tabla player isn't necessarily drawing them together, or is trying to resist them or keep them apart?
When he started explaining the whole idea of decreasing infinity, it got more and more attracted, and I was like, yeah, I love it, I love, and for me, it's something that I've always wanted to explore, that whole thing of, Kathak, contemporary movement, tabla, beatboxing, vocals, sort of sound design stuff, and to have an opportunity like that, it was just like, wow. It was that thing that we said before about the language of the two instruments, that even though I'm coming from a beatboxing perspective, Goshik's coming from a tabla perspective, still that they're still both learnt vocally, and the rhythmical language is exactly the same. The same. Yeah, I mean, for instance, if I do a groove.
And actually we are also following the dancers mainly and trying to give them more push musically, and because this is totally depend on rhythm, you can say.
It's great to improvise with movement, because like in that way, I don't know about you, Goshi, but it just informs me in a very different way, So grooves and atmospheres and things that you might just make by listening to stuff, you're actually making by seeing stuff.
I can't stick on my Indian system, he can't stick on his system 100%.
Mm-hmm.
So both we have to compromise, and the dancers has to compromise as well.
Yeah.
Then we might do something together.
All art forms, they're all related. Do you know what I mean? Whether you do music or whether you do dance or whether you do visuals, it's that sensitivity to colour, to form, to sound, to textures. It's exactly the same thing.
In terms of the bigger production team, in my head, there's different schedules I have to have. One is with working with the dancers, another is input with the musicians and when the musicians will be coming into the space, as well as inputting with the lighting designer, who an initial meeting has taken place, planning meeting already. And also with the costume design people, as well as the production team overall managing the lights we require and all the sound tech stuff, etc. So for me, it's important to be able to have that communication with everyone to look at where we're at with things during, rather than wait to the last minute.
In this project, he's been specifically asking me, I don't know if we'll use that in the end, about how we can contract and expand the space using light. And we're looking at using, it'd be interesting to see if this goes into the show, a controllable iris that we can open and close and have different size circles throughout different sections of the work. So a couple of variables at the outset to see choreographically if Balbir can use it, and also for me now to see if it makes sense or if it's hampering him from developing the work if he keeps tying himself into this 6 metre circle. And he was just saying today that the beatboxer is going to be upstage left and wants his hand to be highlighted. So we might be able to link the lighting idea into that as well by having his hand in a small circle of light. And now the three of us have come together, the musicians, the choreographer and dancers and me. We're kind of spiralling off each other, which makes it great because we've got another week to see if we can get that to go somewhere and what we can all do with it together.
I think now that we've had a taste of the music, I'm feeling a little bit greedy. I want to push along to see the finished product.
Once you get it, like the music that really describes what you're doing at the moment, it's great. It's like a live improv. It's a bit like jazz, I think.
When you find those moments when you click, it's like being in love.
And I love doing it because those moments that really click in and you're like, yeah, I got it. This is what this movement means, and he got it, and I got it, and we all got it, and it's like, wow.
I am eager to see it finished, but there is a nervousness behind the fact that we haven't got much time, and I'd like to see a finished product and polish it.
So it's all about, just really going for it and dancing and they play, and eventually we get to that place that one day we imagined.
But I think the nature of contemporary dance is that you don't ever get something that's perfect. It's constantly evolving. It's a constant negotiation rather than a polished product which you then just put on a mantelpiece. So it's a work in progress all the time.
Yeah, so things make sense now. Because the first time you asked me how is this going, I was like, God, completely spaced out. So things now make sense, and they just happen in space, and they start existing in a very beautiful way, I think, most of it. So I think we're nearly there, nearly finished.
I think it's going to be either really good or...
I think we're just having fun. At the end of the day, I think if we view it in that sense and we have a good process through the fun, there'll be some rich stuff that comes out of it. And also, I don't think there's a right or wrong way to document or have an end product in terms of what's filmed and screened as such. It's what reveals the process in itself in one way, and different slants or angles could be put on the human story or the creative process, or documenting the whole choreographic process. So there's different layers or layerings that can be given to it. I suppose the important thing is, for me, is whatever is kind of presented on screen, there's an audience engagement with it, be it the choreography, be it the film. The people don't get bored.
There's a lot that happens before these productions appear on a stage at Billingham Festival and elsewhere. We hope you've enjoyed coming behind the scenes with us today to explore the creative process. If you are interested in seeing works similar to Decreasing Infinity, please do check out Balbir Singh's website so that you can explore the wide variety of work available. On behalf of everyone at Balbir Singh Dance Company, thank you to the audiences of Billingham, thank you to all of the groups we've been lucky enough to collaborate with, and of course thank you to Billingham Festival for hosting us every single year. We hope you enjoyed the rest of the workshops you will find here at Billingham's Digital Festival this week, and we'll see you really soon.